My name is Beatrix Ruf, and I'm the director of the Stedelijk Museum in Amsterdam. Yeah, my role as a director is to develop the vision for the museum, to continue the museum as a place where art is being, collected and also taken care of, and where the relationship and the connectivity to contemporary production is also kept alive. So our museum has quite a big collection of almost 90,000 works of art and design, and it's always been collecting very contemporary, and since the 19th century. So we hold a very important collection of early modernism, as well art and design, and keep collecting into the future and doing show as well as the classical modernism and very contemporary artists. They are, in a very simple definition, is the art that is being produced now, at the moment, through artists. And it is, particularly for me, it is on a more subjective and a level, I would say, it is art that actually speaks with the tools of now, and which enables to continuously look at what would be important for us to reconfigure for the future. And contemporary art is not making proposals about the future, but I think it does shake up our patterns, and it does shake up the conventions we have learned to read the world with, and continuously redoes that, and it makes us in an interesting way uncomfortable with our conventions and cliches. Now, the fine arts has definitely, since early modernism, really opened up to an integration of the media artists are using, we had a very interesting project last year. We invited Tino Sehgal for a whole year to realize situations in the museum on the level of being presented as if it would be part of the permanent collection. So he has actually presented his situations and a survey span over the whole year in the spaces for our collection displays. It's very interesting, of course, to look into how performative arts or time-based arts in general are integrating in our economies also of dealing with collections. Since there's video and film, it's big questions how that's conservation questions, of course, how these materials are being treated and how they're being kept in good condition and kept alive for the future. And there has been many specializations also, because museums not necessarily can manage all of those conservatory questions. But with the performative arts, of course, there's an economy attached to it, which is usually not part of the economy of a collection. So when you collect performance art, or in the case of Tino Sehgal, his situations, you always have to consider also what it means to re-perform it or to reinstall it, so to say, in the museum. And the economy for the conservatory questions of a collection do not contain, of course, honoraries for performers, temporalities, and that is something we have to think about much more in the future, because it comes from the artists, that they are interested in looking at the real interdisciplinary forms of expression, and there's a lot to do for the museums. I do think that, as you rightly say, one has to look at the systems. You know, in America, the museums are almost 100% privately funded. In Europe, times have changed, you know, coming from same conditions, saying the 19th century, where museums are, like almost all of them, in like foundations of civilians and artists together to particularly implant contemporary art also in the public mind. So being 100% privately funded and privately initiated to let's say becoming fully state funded. Like when you think of the Netherlands, where I work now, or France, Italy, Austria, Germany, institutions had been really entering the subsidy plans of the public hand. This has been reversed partially in the last 10 years. And so the cultures for the institutions also have changed a lot. So a lot of this private-public negotiation and also questions of how do we create like a continuation of the museums and of the institutions into the future as a collaboration of the private and the public hand. That's a process that is not ending. You know, it continuously has to be negotiated and renegotiated. In Switzerland, for example, it always has been like that. You know, there's not the one or the other. There was always a public-private relationship, and I do strongly believe that. That's actually also an expression of our societal realities. We are actually dealing with them, you know, and that is interesting. Now, first, this is many themes you're speaking about. You know, like as the museums are more, more asked also to be entrepreneurial in terms of how do we place the financial aspects of our institutions in society, and that private-public is one element of that. That is one aspect. And of course, collectors, ideally, have an interest in museums because it also is about looking into the continuity of art into the future. That is one aspect. So they are the patrons from the 19th century as well. So I find them really interested in the museum and the institution as a place in society to hopefully continue and to support that too. That is one thing. The art market in relationship to the institution is that, of course, it affects our work, particularly in the field of collecting, and again. I do believe if museums are fit enough to not only look at the contemporary, but also to work with artists, they have many chances to not be too much inhibited by the ups and downs of the market field. All the museums are working together in the International Council of Museums, and the ethical code is something which is like a collaboratively decided on code we all agree on to work with and to behave with, and that code also continuously is being adopted to our to questions that come up in how the state of society is in, and I do think that's very important to look at ethics and to continuously rethink ethics also in relationship to the means of our times. It's actually interesting that you ask for selfies and selfie rooms and everything. I do think that, and at the State Museum we do that extensively. We have a huge department for education and outreach, and we continuously have to think about how our audience experience this reality, and I think experience is the experience of reality changes, of course, also with the technologies we use in everyday life. So we have to reach people. We continuously have to think, what are our tools for education? How do people communicate? And we just lately have made a research on what it would mean if we only do people contact. We have a wonderful group in the Stedelijk Museum, which is called Blik Openers. It's like Open Your Eyes. And it's a group of about 20 young adults, the age from 13 to 17. They're still in school. And they work at the museum for one year, parallel to their school time. And they're only, what they should do for us is to talk to their peers in the language they want about our collection, about our exhibitions. And that is so exciting to see. That what if you take technology away, but you have actually the people who know how a young generation communicates talk to a young generation, and we're very, very happy with this program. And I do think things come in and out. The Stedelijk Museum, for example, really invented the audio tour. And the audio tour, even though it sounds like an old-fashioned instrument almost, is still something which is highly loved and perceived by an audience. So we continuously develop audio tours also further. And we do think about new technology. We don't allow selfies, sticks in the museum, and I think that's also very our responsibility to have the artworks not being endangered. But we do consider technology, and we continuously think, how do we really think the technology changed experience, and how should we speak to our audience? We have more people interested in art, and that's what we always wanted, and now we have it, and I think it's fantastic. But with that also comes a big responsibility to also educate a larger audience that art is ideally makes your brain shake and makes you think about other things than conventional things. So I think that entertainment or not, I don't even want to talk about. I think if museums do their jobs right and continuously think with the art and with the artist, and continuously take the responsibility to translate this in exhibitions, in an experience in the museum, the question of entertainment or not is not. It can be fun, there can be serious fun. I would love to do that. I really would love to do that. Again, one has to look at the cultural system one works in. For example, the museums in the Netherlands are not free. The museums in Switzerland are also not free, but they're not free for different reasons. Yeah, there's some similar reasons, because there's membership schemes in the museums. So to get free entrance, it's very important to also have to make an offer to your members. In the Netherlands, it's considered that the public also shares a responsibility for keeping the museums and the institutions alive. But then there is an amazing possibility to get a museum card for 40 euros, and you can see every single museum in the whole country for a whole year. So this is a kind of a extended membership to all museums, and I think that's it is interesting to look into those things. I would love to have free entrance, but some of the system would have to change for that. But that is institutional everyday life. You get a lot of portfolios, you get a lot of catalogs, you get a lot of installation. I truly believe in seeing a lot in reality, So I think I mostly have worked in contemporary art, and I do think that the more you see, the more you also develop your, hopefully your ability to ask questions. I think that's mainly what you do, and to ask questions also how you stay alert of possible other developments that you couldn't think of so far. But I do think that most curators are looking more into the actual reality of works than looking at portfolios, because that's good to have portfolios, but it's more important to see art in life, and to see it in the context of exhibitions or in the context of a studio. I think it's true for the artists as well. You have to see a lot, you have to connect, you have to meet people, and I think for younger artists it's very important to be in academies and to work with their peers and to realize projects and to become visible. You know. Portfolios are usually not the best way to make yourself seen.